Okay, this is an advanced concept that isn't really going to matter unless you're looking to get a 700 or higher. Okay, so prioritize here. This is going to use the idea of the discriminant. Okay, basically, because parabolas, quadratic equations, are more complicated than lines, we have different problems that can come up. And so with a parabola, we sometimes don't have any solutions or x-intercepts to that parabola. And so that's what the quadratic formula is for, is it's to show us what the actual solutions are. Now, if we needed to find the solutions, we got to do the whole quadratic formula. But sometimes on the SAT, we are only interested in finding out how many solutions there are, and so this idea of the discriminant comes into play. And you can see that these b squared minus 4ac things appear in quadratic formula. That's what the discriminant is. It's this little piece under the radical in quadratic formula, which you do need to memorize if you want a 700 for the SAT. Now, because of the properties of radicals, the discriminant can tell us the number of solutions without us having to go through the whole process. So in this case, if we want exactly one solution, we want the discriminant to be equal to 0. Okay, one solution, the discriminant equals 0. And just to quickly show you why that's the case, think about it. If we had this top part of the equation and there was b squared minus 4ac was equal to 0, choice A, we would have negative b plus the square root of 0 on the top, but also because there's two parts of this equation, right, we'd also have negative b minus 0, right, because that's what the plus or minus means, is that this equation, this one equation, gives us two solutions most of the time. In this case, it would only give us one, because think about it. The square root of 0 is 0. So this is really just saying, on the top, negative b plus 0 and negative b minus 0. Well, negative b plus 0 is just negative b, and negative b minus 0 is also just negative b. So yeah, there'd be more components to the quadratic formula. There's the divided by 2a, so there's more stuff involved here to actually find the number, but you can see why this discriminant thing is helpful. If it's equal to 0, we basically have the same thing on the top, whether we choose the plus or the minus. That's why there's only one, is they kind of give us the same result. So this is something, again, to memorize if you are shooting for a top score. The other two components of this is that there will be two solutions if the discriminant is greater than 0, and there will be 0 solutions if the discriminant is less than 0. And that last one is the easiest to memorize because you cannot take the square root of a negative number. So if the discriminant were less than 0, if the discriminant were negative, we would not be able to have any solutions because you can't take the square root of a negative number. So all of this is easier to memorize if you already understand quadratic formula, because then you understand where this discriminant idea is coming from. Hopefully this helped. It's a hard concept. Do the best you can.